Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what we had this past week. Our dinners were quick and easy and also budget friendly, so if you'd like some dinner inspiration, just keep watching. This first night I made a chili cheese dog bake. I saw this over on Southern Wife Everyday Life's channel. I will link that video in the description box below. I'm going to start out by spraying my casserole dish with some cooking spray. I'm then going to add a layer of chili to the bottom of that. This chili that I'm using here, it's just a can of hot dog chili sauce with no beans and then a can of hot dog chili sauce with beans, and I just mix the two together. Next, I'm going to take a can of crescent rolls and I'm going to wrap some all beef hot dogs in the crescent rolls and place those into my casserole dish. Next, I'm going to cover the wrapped hot dogs with the remaining chili. Next, I'm going to cover this with shredded cheese and place this in the oven. Now, I baked this at 375 degrees for about 25 minutes per Tamara's suggestion, but I had the same issue that she did. My crescent rolls didn't get done all the way. I ended up covering this with foil and cooking it for about 40 minutes. So next time I make this, I would suggest cooking this at 375 degrees covered for about 20 minutes, then uncover and cook it for another 20 to 25 minutes or until the rolls are done. And here are the finished plates. I have the chili cheese dog bake along with some macaroni and cheese. This is just leftover macaroni and cheese from the other night. I warmed it up on the stove with a little bit of milk. This may not look very appetizing, but this was really, really good. We're definitely going to make this again. Tonight for dinner, I'm making a slow cooker tortellini soup. So to get started, I'm going to take some of this Italian chicken sausage that I got on markdown at Food Lion, and I'm going to brown that in a skillet until the chicken sausage is cooked all the way through. Next, I'm going to spray the inside of my crock pot liner with some cooking spray. Then I'm going to add my canned diced tomatoes. Now the recipe called for Italian diced tomatoes. I didn't have any, so I just added some Italian seasoning to some diced tomatoes. And as always, I will include the recipes and links that I mentioned in the description box below. Next, I'm going to add my cream cheese, then the chicken broth, and finally the cooked sausage. Then I'm going to stir all of that together, place my lid on, and cook it on low for about 4 hours. After 4 hours, I'm going to add some fresh spinach, and then I'm going to add my tortellini. I'm using this cheese tortellini from Walmart. And then I'm going to place the lid back on and cook it for another 30 minutes. I found these little mini crescent rolls at the Dollar Tree the other day. We haven't had these before, so I'm going to warm these up in the air fryer for about 2 minutes to serve with the soup. And here is the finished soup. I'm just going to give it one final stir. And here are the plates. So I have the soup. I topped it with a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese along with those warmed up Dollar Tree crescent rolls. Those were actually really good. I would recommend those. And then I've got some side salads. My side salad has homemade honey mustard and my husband's salad has Thousand Island dressing. Dinner was so good. We're not huge soup people, but this soup was really good. I recommend this recipe. Tonight for dinner, I'm making peanut noodles with shrimp. My husband loves Asian food, so I've been trying to make it more often for him. And I saw this over on Simply Mama Cooks channel. And when I saw it, I knew he would love it. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in this video. I will link her video in the description box below. But this was a really quick and easy dinner. If you like Asian food, especially Thai food, I would give this recipe a try. So basically what I'm doing is in a pot, I have added a little bit of oil. I'm going to add my garlic, ginger, and scallion whites and give that a stir. Previous to this, I have boiled up some pasta and set that aside to drain. I'm actually using fettuccine noodles because that's what I have on hand. Next, I'm going to add in some sambal and give that a stir. Then I'm going to add in the peanut butter and give that another stir. Next, I'm going to add in the soy sauce and the sugar. And next, I'm going to stir in the coconut milk. Then I'm going to add my lime juice, and then we tasted the sauce for seasoning. We felt like it needed some salt, so I added just a little bit and gave that a final stir, and then that's the sauce. Then I'm going to toss in my cooked noodles that have drained and give that a stir. And finally, I decided to toss in some shrimp, but chicken would be really good in this. So here I just have some frozen cooked shrimp that I have just thawed, and I'm just going to toss that in the last minute or so to warm through. For a side, I'm going to take these spring rolls I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cook them in my air fryer on 400 degrees for 5 minutes, sprayed with some cooking spray, flip them and cook them another 5 minutes. And here are the finished plates. I garnished the noodles with some crushed peanuts and lime wedges, and then her recipe didn't call for cilantro, but I had some on hand and wanted to use it up, so I added some cilantro, and then we have the spring rolls. This was good, and it took less than 30 minutes to put together. Tonight for dinner, we placed a curbside to-go order from Chili's, so I went and picked that up for our date night. We both did the triple dipper. I chose the Big Mouth Bites, the Honey Chipotle Crispers, as well as the Onion Petals. My husband chose the Big Mouth Bites, the Boneless Buffalo Wings, and the Southwestern Egg Rolls. This was really good. We haven't had Chili's in a while, and it's one of our favorites. And because this was our date night, I went ahead and splurged and got my husband's favorite dessert. He loves this dessert. It's their molten lava chocolate cake. It's really good. And I had a coupon, which made it free even better. Tonight for dinner, I'm making pintos, cornbread, and some fried potatoes. Let me show you how I make this. So to start, I'm just going to take my pinto beans and I'm going to place them in a colander. I'm going to go through them and remove any rocks or any beans that just don't look very good, and then rinse those with water. I have a couple of country ham slices in my freezer that I'm going to use for my pintos. I haven't used country ham before. Normally I use ham hocks or even bacon, but I'm going to use this today. So what I have here is I just have my pintos in a pot. I've covered them with water. I'm going to add my country ham slices and bring this up to a boil. Once it's up to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to about medium high and then allow them to cook. Now you want to check on your beans about every 15 or 20 minutes and add water if they need it. Normally I cook these low and slow all day, but today I started them a little bit late, so I cooked them on a higher temperature for about 4 or 5 hours. And if you notice, I did not soak my beans. I've never done it. My mom didn't do it. My granny didn't do it. They've always been fine, but if you want to soak them, go ahead and soak yours. My beans have been cooking for about 4.5 hours. They're done, so I've set them aside. Next, I'm going to get started on my fried potatoes. So in this large skillet over medium heat, I'm going to add a little bit of oil, and then I'm going to add a small spoonful of bacon grease. I don't make fried potatoes and pintos very often, but when I do it right, and I use a little bit of bacon grease. Next, I'm going to add some chopped up onion to my skillet, and I'm going to cook that for about 2 minutes, just until they start to soften slightly. Next, I'm going to add my potatoes. What I have here are 3 russet potatoes that I have washed and peeled and sliced pretty thin. You can slice them as thick or as thin as you want. Just know that the thicker you cut them, the longer that it's going to take to cook them all the way through. Next, I'm going to cover these with the lid, and I'll cook them for about 15 or 20 minutes until they're golden brown and cooked all the way through. I'm going to stir them every so often so that they don't burn on the bottom. I found a couple of hot dogs left over from the other night in the refrigerator. I want to use those up, so I'm going to go ahead and make some sauerkraut and weenies, as we call them in my family. So to this skillet over about medium-high heat, I've got a little bit of bacon grease, and then I'm going to chop up those hot dogs and place those in the skillet. And then I'm just going to cook those for a couple of minutes until they're brown. Next, I'm going to add my sauerkraut. So I'm just taking the sauerkraut from Aldi, and I'm going to use about half this jar. I'm going to add that, stir it together, and turn my heat down to about medium low. And then I'll just let that cook while the potatoes are cooking, and I'll stir it every so often. And here is my cornbread out of the oven. I have a separate video that I will link in the description box below if you'd like to see how to make this. And here are the potatoes about halfway through. I'm just going to give those a stir, cover those with a lid again, and then finish cooking them. And here are the finished plates. So I have some cornbread, the sauerkraut and wieners, and then the fried potatoes. We like to eat ketchup with our fried potatoes. For the pinto beans, we will both add cornbread into our beans. And then for my beans, I eat them the way that my granny did, which she added mustard and diced raw onion. I'm not a big mustard fan, but it's really good in this, and if you haven't given it a try, I would suggest you try it. My husband adds a little bit of mustard and some of this hot chow chow to his, and then I have some butter for our cornbread. That's dinner tonight. Really easy, good Southern cooking, but really delicious. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.